Alright, I got you.
What's up? This is Raw Poetry Podcast through Street Culture Radio. And my name is Soze Picasso, and I'm here with the infamous Gwen C, my first female guest. How you doing, Miss Gwen?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
What's up? It's good to see you. Would you like to tell the people a little about yourself and where you're from?
Sure. So I am Kentucky born, but I always like to say Texas raised, Third Coast made. I grew up in Galveston, Texas, so in the Houston area. Shout out to the 409.
That's what they already called it, 409.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Not Houston though. Houston 713-281.
Okay.
They got more now, but we ain't gonna name them all.
Right. So we back. Miss Gwen C's a poet. She's a thunder poet. She's bad and she keeps it 100 and talks about a lot of issues that be going on in the world today and things of that nature. And I think I met Miss Gwen about 2 or 3 years ago in Radcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first time meeting her, I went with Don. He was a featured poet at one of our shows at Jazz and Jokes, and that's how me and Miss Gwen met. And so how long you been doing poetry?
So I've been writing since I was 13. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but my first poem was about Saddam Hussein and war. So that probably can tell you it's been a minute. Let's just say it's been more than 25 years. Yeah. And I took an 8-year hiatus in that time though.
That's what's up. So what made you get into poetry?
I grew up in a kind of not so great home life. Like, I'll just tell y'all. So it was a point in my life where I lived with my mom and my dad, who had been separated for years and years. Sorry, Mom. But it was my dad and his girlfriend, and we all lived in the same house. And there was a lot of domestic violence going on. I don't know how we all ended up living in the same house, but writing was pretty much the only outlet for my teenage years. But I will say my homegirl Dana Marie Cruz is the one who got me writing. The very first poem about the war and everything was because of her.
Oh, okay.
She's actually younger than me, so y'all need to understand that influence can come from anywhere, not just people that you look up to as mentors, but people younger than you can influence you as well.
Right. You learn something every day from anybody.
Yep.
Right. That's what's up. So you've been writing since you was 13.
Yes.
And your first poem was a war poem about Saddam Hussein. That's different. I think that's very interesting. That's different. And how long have you been performing poetry?
So not to duplicate your show with Dome, but it's almost like Dome's story. I think he started in 2012. I didn't start going until early 2013.
Yeah.
But then I went to Louisville Arts Live, went to the contest just like he did. That's actually where I met him and Lance. But I do have to say this. The only way I would have ever known that Louisville even had a poetry scene, I have to thank Romel 2Ls. And that's because I used to work with his wife. And I took an 8-year hiatus from 2004 to 2012. And when I started writing poetry again, I was posting videos on YouTube. And because we used to work together, Octavia was like, hey, you know that there's this place called Louisville Arts Live. I didn't know. I didn't know Louisville had that. I thought I needed to still be in New York or something where there was like a real poetry scene.
Right.
But when I went to Louisville Art Live the first time and then went to the contest, that's when I met Lance Dome. But because I met Lance through that, you know, that's what really opened me up to all the other poetry spots at the time.
Right. Because it was like a secret. I was like
Yeah.
around or something.
Yes.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And like Louisville Arts Live and Diamonds, you know, that was everything. Just like Dome said a few weeks ago, you could get everything. Dancing, art, body paint, just pretty much anything you could imagine.
That sounds
But
bad.
if it wasn't for that, right, we would never have known about all the poetry spots. And it just has really even blossomed more in the last 5 years.
Right. Have you ever been to Southern Fried? I did any of that.
I have not participated in Southern Fried, and the only time I've been is when it was here in Louisville.
That's what's up. I was mad I missed it. For y'all there who don't know, Southern Fried is this big poetry slam. It moves around every year.
Yes.
It started in the started down south and it moves around every year and it's real big. I don't know much about it. I just got hip to it. But it was here last year and that was big for Louisville and poetry. But yeah, it moves around every year and it's contest poets from all over things of that nature. It's really bad.
And let me tell you, it's the best 4 days ever. So before Lipstick Wars came here in 2017, my favorite weekend ever, it wasn't getting married or nothing like that. My favorite weekend ever was the Final Four for the Cardinals in Georgia, but in 2013. But after that, Lipstick Wars came here. That was my best 4 days of my life ever. I even called into work, so it is what it is. But I had to be there every day. I couldn't miss. And I did judge a few different slams during Lipstick Wars. I mean, damn. What's it called? Southern Fried. And I judged a little bit, and it was just an amazing experience. And I did have to call into work for that. Don't tell nobody.
Nah, we ain't gonna tell nobody. So if you watching, don't fire.
Right, don't fire me.
I
need my job.
So, and tell us some of the other places that you performed and your favorite place to perform.
So I think everyone has kind of their reasons why I love them. I used to really love Jazz and Jokes. You know, I did a show there. It started with Jess Will from Indy. He had a show there, and I performed there probably for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half when he was doing grown-up therapy, and then he left, and then I started hosting a show there, Jazz and Jokes in Radcliffe. So it went well for about a year and then kind of stopped. But there's some places, I don't know that I have a favorite, but there's some places that I feel like just stand out and deserve to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Just because they impacted me beyond just their show. One of them was Laughing Lounge with Maurice Haymaker Hobbs in Clarksville, Tennessee. Because of him bringing me in for 3 months straight and me not being afraid to do a political piece at a comedy set to open the show, because someone in the audience, knew someone who knew someone, I ended up getting invited to perform at the Urban League for Middle Tennessee. So
that's beautiful. That
was amazing. I was like, this is so dope, because that's what I want to do. I make a difference with my poetry.
Right.
And then another time, I want to give a shout out to Mo, Christo, and Frizzy from Po Boys and Poets in Nashville, because they're just, first of all, their poetry's amazing. They're amazing people. The vibes, the energy, everything about them. But even more so, because of them, they invited me to perform at Vanderbilt with them, at Vanderbilt University. So I did that back in March, and it just was it's just a new thing. It just feels like you're growing when you continue to progress and get those type of invites and try to make an impact. So gotta appreciate those folks. And here in Louisville, I love K-Mac. I went to Sweet Peaches a few times when the slam was there. But I think everybody has kind of, what's unique to them and what makes you feel good about going there. They're all just different things.
Right. And you heard what she said. She went here and performed here, and it opened up a door here, and then it opened up a door here. So when you really try and do things and perfect your craft, and even if you don't feel like going, go anyway. Because you never know. And then it leads to other opportunities and other doors open.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part. When you get in a rut and you don't feel like going, that's me. I am bad about that. So I'll tell everybody, you got to make yourself go. You got to keep doing it, because if not, you're going to feel like you're missing out and you're going to have regrets.
Yeah, that's right. I was at this DNN job in 03 and just started working, really didn't like to work. And this old white man told me, he was like, I forgot where he got the story from. He said, but 90% of it's just showing up.
Yep.
So that's all you got to do is show up. And the other 10% is what you do when you get there.
That is true.
Yeah, so.
I got an example for that. I took off from the election night when Trump was elected in 2016. So November of 16 was the last time I had been to KMAC. I didn't go for over a year. And then I started going back to K-Mac in early 18.
Right.
And then 2 times in 18, I actually won the slam. That was a first. But my point is, I mean, maybe I would have won sooner if I didn't take like a year off from going.
Right.
I think it was just I had bad energy after being there and kind of following the election night.
You good. And Gwen's a problem because every time she show up, I go in there and look. I go to K-Mac. I'm like, you know, not saying that, but like I don't know these other people. I never heard them, so tonight might be my night. I'm gonna win it. You feel me? So we getting our numbers and stuff. You feel me? Putting our little money in and everything because you gotta put your cash in if you performing. Other than that, it's free. So then here come Gwen straggling in. I'm like, oh shit.
That's not true.
I said, Gwen,
that's not true.
Is
That's
it
not
wrong?
how it happened. Allegedly.
I'm mad because you walked through the door because she's a problem. Yeah, her poetry's real good. And like she said, she's one she'll a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you.
So you like them little places, and you said you've been performing since like what? You said 2013.
Yep, I hadn't touched the stage from high school.
Yeah.
And then I was writing a lot of poems about like the Lakers and just fun pieces. And then I went on the 8-year hiatus. So until 2013, I hadn't been behind the mic.
The hiatus, it sounds like a break. I don't know exactly what that means. Is that what that means? Like
Yeah. Like I did not write a real poem for 8 years.
Dang.
And I'm not sure how that happened. I was trying to figure it out before I got on the show so I could give you a good reason. But I think it was just going to school, getting degrees, having children,
Just
trying
life.
to build my career, trying to have my real job, my income. And so I think that's just all those things made me.
What society tell you the real job? Yeah.
A satisfying one that gives you your money.
right.
So satisfying.
Right, but we try and make this one real. So, okay. And tell the people what else you went to, because you went to a lot and a bunch of nice and different things.
So just to talk about, because I feel like I would be wrong if I didn't, we started a basketball team back in 2012. So it's a youth basketball team, Little Legends.
Oh, okay.
My husband's a coach. We have other coaches, obviously, because the team has grown. Depending on what time of year it is, you know, you may find us with first grade, kindergarten, all the way up to 8th grade. Sometimes, you know, my son's a sophomore now, so he plays for Mill. So right now we don't have anybody playing because it's school ball time. But, you know, year-round basketball with the Little Legends. Y'all can always check us out on gwenc.com. But we take, you know, not just teaching them about the game, but we try to teach them how to be big off the court. So
That's what's up.
we have core values, that's friendship, strength, dedication, compassion. Oops, one of them I'm forgetting. But we have core values, and we do stuff like clothing drives, because Gwen Poetry and Little Legends has started back in 2013, I think, or maybe 2014. We started a purse drive, and I know it sounds crazy, but when you think about domestic violence, a lot of times people are only able to escape the situation with just whatever's on their body.
Right.
And maybe
right.
grab their child if there's a child involved. But they, you know,
Right.
that's how I grew up. So you can't always grab your purse, you can't get a bag, you can't get your clothes, you take whatever's on your body and your child. And so we started what sounds bad because it sounds materialistic, a purse and clothing drive for women and children. And so the Little Legends partner with that every year. It's in August because we donate the stuff in October during Domestic Violence Month. And then other stuff, you know, just writing my books. And I'm also a member of the Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission.
For people who don't know what that is, could you
Yes,
explain that?
yes, definitely. So the Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission is a mayor-appointed board, and then obviously some employees of Louisville Metro as well that are on this board. The commission tries to remove bigotry, bias, and hatred from the community. So you'll see us at events like World Fest, Americana, just different events around town. You'll see us trying to eliminate problems, you know, in JCPS with children and people of color being mistreated or being stereotyped or treated differently in academic settings, and pretty much any setting. So it could be housing, it could be in your workplace, but any type of discrimination that someone experiences in Jefferson County, we would ask you to call us and reach out to us so that we can investigate it and try to make a resolution.
What's up? I heard. So any discrimination, any pettiness, y'all can holler at
Yes.
UNC. She's on it. And shout out to the Louisville Legends if you want your kids to be a part of
Little Legends.
Oh.
If I don't know that, we might get sued.
Little Legends, my bad. Little Legends. You want your kids to be a part of a basketball team that learns more than just basketball and core values.
Yes.
That's somebody to check out. She says you can check that out on GwenC.com.
Yeah, GwenCEE.com. You can learn about the Human Relations Commission. You can learn about the basketball. And of course, you can learn about my poetry because that's where the website was originally started for.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, even with the Little Legends, I want everybody to know, in case you're a teenager or you have a teenager, my son's in the 10th grade. He goes to Mill and he's playing for Mill now. But we have Legends Elite now. They don't want to be little legends no more.
Right,
the bigger kids. So there's always an opportunity for even the older kids to still play with us.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. So and what you got coming up or what you got going on?
So this is my first official show of the year.
Hey, we
Soze
working.
Picasso.
2019's already popping.
Right. Let's see. So February 9th, I'm going to be performing in Muldrow, Kentucky at Camp Carlson with Lucky Lodge
Kentucky,
by Fort Knox. Basically, it's at Fort Knox. And it's Camp Carlson, which is part of Fort Knox, I do believe. And I'm going to be doing the Sweetheart Dance for Valentine's Day. The event is called Never Knew Love Like This Before. So it is a dinner, DJ, dancing all night, starts at 7. Tickets are $20, but you're getting pretty much everything you could possibly need. So that's through Lucky Lodge 137. So they booked me. And I want to talk about that real quick because Omar, the person who reached out to me, was like, I hope this is still the right phone number when he texted me and everything. I want y'all to know that things will happen way later than you realize. So while we're always getting, I don't know about everybody, but I get frustrated because I don't feel like I'm getting the right support. Things ain't happening like they should. Everybody kind of feels that way, I'm sure. Yeah. But I met Omar in 2015 when I was performing at Jazz and Jokes with the Grown Up Therapy. And then when I hosted my very first event in Louisville at Le Cabaret when it was open. And that was for basically a fundraiser for Little Legends. And I hosted it and had poets come out. And Omar had brought some friends from the Fort Knox area. He was, military, I guess, and came out. And then, so like 3 years passed. And then in November, he hit me in 18 and was like, can you be my feature? So I want y'all to know that the things you're doing right now, even though it might not always feel like something's happening, you never know what's going to come from that, even if it's 3 years down the line. So just kind of stay positive. It's not easy, but you got to try. Right,
stay positive, stay with it, keep going.
Yep.
So do you got a special piece planned for that night? You doing something you already got? Are you doing something themed?
So because it is a Valentine's Day dance, I'm going to try to stay off the political. I'm not going to do scrolling. I'm not going to go in there and make everybody want to rally and riot. I'm going to try to keep it nice. I'm going to do some love poems. I don't write a lot of love poems anymore. So I've been kind of questioning why I said yes. But I have, obviously pieces from 2015 when I was still writing a lot of love pieces. So I got those. You never heard any of them? Dang. Yes, I got all those still. I'm starting doing them.
That's what's up.
They just don't win slams, so.
And let me ask you something. I don't know about everybody else, but I know I do. I don't do as much as I should, but I work on my charisma, my stage presence, going on my poems. Do you practice your stage presence and things like that?
Not like I should. Because I don't like attention. So it doesn't matter what I do. I don't like attention.
Right.
So I think for Lipstick Wars this year, because I wanted to get to the second round, because you don't have to win. Last year I was only in one round. This year my goal was to get to the second round. Right. I wanted to get there. So I had to make sure that I was delivering scroll in the right way for that stage, because I'm just going to be honest. I'm the only white girl in that competition this year.
Right.
And it is a tough crowd and you have to come prepared.
Right.
And so I felt like I did find myself in front of the mirror a few times the day before, especially because I was trying to make sure that I was ready. It worked. I mean, I at least met my goal. Some people would say that goal is not big enough that I should be trying to win, but I know who's in Lipstick Wars, so guess what? I wasn't there to win. I was there to beat myself, which was to get to the second round because I only got through one last year.
And that's the only person you ever compete against. You really don't compete against nobody.
Sometimes that's hard to remember.
Right, be the best version of you.
I got that in my phone. I look at it every time before I slam.
Right. That's what's up. I got a little vision board at home. What do we have here? Gwen got some stuff on the table she want to share with y'all on the show.
So I'm going to go from the oldest. I'm just going to talk about them real quick. This was my first book, Sea Anchored in Poetry. I released it in the summer of 15. And it's pretty much got anything you can imagine. Political love, relationships, domestic violence. It just has pretty much any type of poem that you can imagine. I think it fits for everybody, you know, teenagers, boys, girls, men, women, whatever. But my second book would probably be more for adults because it's all love poems and there's probably some borderline questionable stuff in these love poems. It came out in the summer of 17. Yea, though I walk through the alley of the shadow of love.
How many pages is it? I'm just curious.
This one's really short. I mean, this one's probably what, 50 something, 50 pages?
50 some pages.
Whereas this one's 164. So I think it just depends on what you are putting together.
Okay.
I normally wouldn't talk about myself this much, but my books I will. 1013. So when I wrote this book in 2017, it was 1 month after this when I released this. And 1013, I want to tell y'all, 1013 is, it's like the code to call for help for police assistance if they don't do the right thing. But in certain cities, 1013 is calling for police assistance. In some places, 1013 is the code for putting someone into an institution for psych evaluation, make sure they're not going to harm themselves or anyone else. Right. So 1013, you know, is about help. And 1013 is also my birthday, so it just made sense for it to be the title of the book. But this book is 13 things everybody needs to find grace, growth, and gratification. So it's supposed to be somewhat kind of like self-help, but this book has poems in it. Every section has 1 or 2 poems at the end of what I'm telling you that you need.
Okay.
And it's kind of interactive, like it requires you to think about what you're doing, what you're reading, and do some work along the way.
That's what's up.
And this is my most recent book that just came out just a couple months ago, Prophecy. And this is Peace in 30 Days Through Poetry and Praise. So I'm not super religious. I am trying to find get closer to God. I've been trying to do that for the last 3 years. I am definitely getting closer to God, which is a good thing. So this book, you know, just felt like it was the right thing for me to do in making it. It's scripture. It's a short poem followed by scripture. Now, if you ask the pastors, I probably got the wrong scripture with the right piece and the wrong piece, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But for me, it makes sense. What I put with each poem, each short poem makes sense. And then there's like 4 poems in the
That's
back.
what they do?
So, to me, it makes sense.
The scripture to go along with what they're going to talk about that day. So.
And that's the thing, like, I don't know that they really match my poems because everybody could interpret the poems different, so the scripture could be off. But for what I wanted to say and what I feel like the piece was saying, and for me to get closer to God, this is just kind of about my process. And so if I'm taking the scripture wrong, that's okay because I'm growing in that process.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I got stuff that I done read 5 years ago, didn't get, and I read it today. It's a little different too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
What's up. And what's that one of your shirts you got on?
Oh yeah, this is my logo. I created Advanced Print Solutions. They actually created this logo for me a few years ago, and I'm excited because it's a lot of work for them to do it, but they do it for me. They hate my logo because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
That's why I don't ask anybody to print them for me. If you usually see me, I'll just have on a hashtag see the word.
Yeah.
And that's because I have like so many more see the word. No one wants to give me a hard time. But when this one, you got to pick out all the spots from the O and the E. Every little thing has to be picked out afterwards, and they don't like it.
Right.
So I need to find a really good friend that has a print shop.
So where can they find your books and stuff at?
So all these books are available on Amazon, but of course, if anybody wants them from me, you obviously save money in shipping. The books are on gwencee.com, gwencee.com. There's also a schedule of events on there. I haven't updated it just yet, but in March I have a show with the Po Boys and Poets, March 22nd. I invited you. I hope you can come.
Yeah. I'm going to try to make it.
Yes. Nashville's fun. They are a good crowd. Everybody is just really dope there. So.
Right. I'm trying to get there too. Plus it's right up the street. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. And you want to do a poem for us?
I will do an oldie because it's short, but it's okay. So I'll do it.
I
want to do a long one.
Let's do whatever you want to do.
Sure. Mugshot versus prom picture face. Media's choice to display, media's disgrace. I'm outraged. This is my outcry because kids are getting killed outside, and the role of the media's hype, its blaze, is to outline a certain race, to negatively reinforce a tainted image, yet positively endorse those who deserve blemish. Why is Social Security monetarily lined up for him, but Social Security in the form of bars for them? Is it because he wears khakis and a polo and he's, quote, disturbed? Let's see how it would be if a black man, 42, asked your kids to come outside, if he tried to entice. would he still be disturbed or not all there? And Mr. Officer, do you think it's right when you give me feedback of your conversation with him and you tell me that he was balling his fist up at you? Let a black man do that shit, and the worry we have for our kids would have been through. Because you would have nipped that in the bud right then on the spot. But because he's a black man, 42, gray hair, khakis, a polo, no Jordan shoes, all we got was a response from you that he's not all there, and we shouldn't feel threatened. Question, his fist, his aggression, no need to pull your weapon. That's that piece. That's a true story too. We had some neighbors that were questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to, you want to play our PlayStation? You want to come in our house? No, they don't want to come in your house.
Right. I think that a lot of the real stuff to me be the best ones are somewhere you're doing something like, I'm going to turn that into a poem or I'm going to write about that.
And the officers, that's what they did. They were like, well, we don't think he's not all there. He was balling his fist up at us and stuff. So he's not all there, so it's okay. And he's outside waiting at the bus stop and trying to walk home with our son.
No,
okay.
Right. Wow, yeah. The black dude shot on the spot, but we not gonna get into that.
Right?
Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it in all the questions and things I have for you, unless you got something else you want to put out there, something else you want to say.
No, but I do need to say hi to my beautiful lady. That would be Kim Duwop. She is also one of my people who I love and look up to in poetry, and I feel like I need to say that.
That's what's up. Okay.
I call her beautiful lady.
Beautiful lady. That's what's up. Well, y'all, there was Gwen C. And she said you can find her where?
GwenC.com or Gwen C on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any social media. It's just going to be Gwen C anchored in poetry.
Okay, that's what's up. So thank y'all for coming out. This has been Raw Poetry Podcast. I'm Soze Picasso, and we'll branch off Street Culture Radio. We'll holler at y'all more. That was nice. I wasn't that bad, was it?
Yeah, it was really
I
good.
didn't die. My favorite phrase, I didn't die. I know some people might have hurt feelings.
Why you say that?
I tried. It's hard to remember.
I don't worry about all that. Who's the right people?
You just never know. You never know. They're like, well, dang, she didn't mention me.
Oh yeah, you can't remember everybody.
Yeah, beautiful shit.
But I do call Kim beautiful lady because her spirit. Have you met her? Doo-wop. She's like my offer. She's super short. She's shorter than me.